Obama. But he is so good in his delivery system. By not yelling, by not screaming, he gets his bullying done nevertheless. Where does this come from? How has this happened that our universities now are just filled with little Nazi bullies under the guise of fairness, intimidating everybody into submission? Police departments bullied by the most incompetent captains and district captains you could ever imagine. Far less competent than most of the police on the street are these bullies who bullied their way into these jobs. San Francisco Fire Department, bullied. You've got women running the fire department who, in the last big fire, were hiding two blocks away in a command center because they didn't want to dirty their white uniforms. And the firemen were running up the ladders, risking their lives, while the women, the ladies in white, were hydrating themselves 2 blocks away from a command center. They didn't climb the ladder. They didn't spray the water. But they're the ones who collect the $500,000 a year pensions. How did they get there? They bullied their way there. They bullied their way in by saying you were racist or homophobic by not hiring them to begin with. And then when they couldn't lift a ladder or lift a hose, they said that it's racist to make a candidate to be a fireman lift a hose. It's racist to make homophobic to make a fireman climb a ladder and carry a 150-pound person down the ladder. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? How did this happen? It's happened through the media, through the government education, by a set of immoralities put out by Katzenberg, Spielberg, Matzenberg in Hollywood, poisoning the mind of our children. The mainstream media, while you still think is technically free, has been bastardized by the FCC into a propaganda machine, reporting only what is approved and taking away from the minds of the public stories of a true meaning. The public education system, the schools in other words, have rewarded uniformity, not meritocracy, but instead of rewarding achievement and teaching children that the Founding Fathers were they're teaching the children that the Founding Fathers were terrorists. They use violence to coerce political change, etc. This is no accident brought about by a mistake in an educational process. This is a process that was brought about by purposeful misinformation. Do you remember the Russian leader Nikita Khrushchev, the man who famously banged his shoe on a desk, I think, at the UN, Nikita Khrushchev? He said that America could never make the jump from capitalism to communism, but their elected leaders could be assisted in giving small doses of socialism until America awakens to find itself communist, and thus the infiltration of this foreign cancer, which has infected impressionable youth, which is now spread to the highest levels of office. And now we're sitting here on the precipice of the loss of our freedoms themselves. And that's why I say to you, how much longer we can tolerate this until we all fight back is anyone's guess. How long we can tolerate this until these sparks of hatred incited by Obama, Holder, Sharpton, and the others, and played out on the universities and in the schools eventually reaches the point where there is a prairie fire which results in a civil war. Will that ever happen? I pray not. I wrote an entire book entitled Stop the Coming Civil War. Remember it? Remember the book? It was a bestseller for many weeks. Many weeks, Stop the Coming Civil War. What was I warning you? I was warning you that we had a government trying to start a civil war. And guess what happened after the book was published? They attacked the police in America. This is just another stage in their plan. They have many months left to finalize their plan. And only by standing up to these bullies and exposing these bullies and speaking out against these bullies can we stop this horrible, horrible possibility in our country. In my new novel, Countdown to Mecca, I warn you that there are forces in this country that want to do terrible things in the world. Terrible, terrible things they want to do. And only citizens who believe in freedom can stop them. My friends, we are at the precipice. I realize you don't want to accept that it's gloom and doom. Perhaps you're sitting in the sun somewhere or walking in the sun, having a nice tofu sandwich on the streets of Manhattan or a falafel sandwich thinking that I'm crazy. I ask you, look around yourself. How many of those people walking by you can think anymore? How many of those people walking by you are the bold and daring Americans that built this nation? Ask yourself that question. Look in the faces of those husks, those empty husks without souls, those robots in your midst.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855-400-7282. Warning: the Savage Nation contains adult language, adult content, psychological nudity. Listener discretion is advised. And now, America's most exciting radio talk show, The Savage Nation, home of unprotected talk, borders, language, culture. And here he is, Michael Savage.
Bullying. Welcome to the Savage Nation. Since Obama has seized control of this nation, he has used the bully pulpit to bully everyone in this nation into submission. He certainly has bullied the Republicans into submission. They don't exist as a loyal opposition. They don't exist at all. We know that. The street thugs in Ferguson, the street thugs in Baltimore, bullying the cops. The ACLU bullying Christians everywhere. Muslims in America bullying you everywhere to tell you that, wait a minute now, how dare you even ask us about our loyalty? You have no right to ask us. What are you even looking at us for? Who are you to say that most of the terrorism in the world is caused by Muslims? Are you crazy? That's not true. And even if it is, it's racist. The illegal aliens who have been allowed to pour over our borders, running amok in America, demanding everything for free. Yes, you heard me. And if they were all coming here to work, then how do you account for the fact that 1/3 of all of our prisoners are non-citizens? Put that into your pot pipe and smoke it. Obama bullying the Supreme Court. Al Sharpton bullying the police. Wherever you turn, bullying. There are many examples. In the last hour, I played an example of a creep on NPR putting a Jewish blood libel on the leftist Bernie Sanders, which is kind of ironic because Bernie Sanders is an outright communist from the get-go. I mean, a classic communist. And yet he wasn't leftist enough for the pro-Palestinian National Palestinian Radio. Listen to the interchange between this creature on NPR, who I never heard of, by the way. I have no idea why she's on the air, attacking Bernie Sanders, implying he is libel as a Jew. Listen.
Senator, you have dual citizenship with Israel.
Well, no, I do not have dual citizenship with Israel. I'm an American. I don't know where that question came from. I am an American citizen, and I have visited Israel on a couple of occasions. No, I'm an American citizen, period.
I understand from a list we have gotten that you were on that list. Forgive me if that...
You little
that's
Nazi,
some of the nonsense that goes on in the
Good
internet.
for you, Bernie. Spit in their face.
Interesting.
You got to list that little fascist...
Are there members of Congress
Are there any members of the party there, huh, you lousy...
Or is that
shut up. Get her off my show. Why wasn't she fired? Because there's no opposition party. No opposition party. This woman never belonged on the air. Why is she on the air? Because she does the bidding of National Palestinian Radio. That's why. Any other questions? 855-407-282. Wherever you turn, the Lilliputians have taken over the country. You remember Jerry Lewis with his Labor Day telethon? Remember the great work he did? He raised hundreds of millions of dollars for children with muscular dystrophy. Do you remember what they did to Jerry Lewis? Do you remember what the haters did to him? They said that he wasn't right for the job anymore. Headline: Muscular dystrophy finally ends Labor Day show after firing Jerry Lewis and killing telethon. Roger Friedman, Showbiz 411. They killed their golden goose. Muscular Dystrophy Association decided no more TV special on Labor Day weekend. This is probably an old story. They had already destroyed the 21-hour annual telethon after kicking Jerry Lewis to the curb. They said that the show was a fraud, and they got rid of him. And so what happened was they couldn't raise any more money. The show, after he left, was whittled down to a 2-hour pre-tape, a shadow of what Jerry Lewis had done with it. And now it's gone altogether. Why? Why did they get rid of Jerry Lewis? The Jerry's Kids rubric meant so much to people who had little hope and a lot of problems. But the new Muscular Dystrophy Association, the PC Muscular Dystrophy Association, is so out of touch with reality that after firing Jerry Lewis, the organization itself is fundamentally gone. That's what will happen to America if you let the left-wing fanatics continue on their rampage against everything decent in this country, whether it be in police departments, whether it be in the military, whether it be in the universities. It does not matter where. The vermin on the left have touched everybody equally with their psychotic poison. Want to talk about that? Have you been bullied? Got any examples of it? KBET Radio. Christine, welcome to the Savage Nation. Go ahead, please.
Hi, I am a parent from Las Vegas, Nevada, and I just wanted to comment that we are living the nightmare that you're speaking of. We have been watching as the ACLU and Planned Parenthood have combined and are pushing the transgender agenda. They're going into our school districts all over Nevada and bullying them into using the sexuality-based sex ed and opening up their bathrooms to whoever wants to use the bathroom of their...
Right. That's what they do. The ACLU is the most dangerous organization in American history. If a foreign power had created an entity to destroy the country, they couldn't have done a better job than pushing the ACLU down our throat. Who elected them to office? Nobody. Who made Ruth Bader Ginsburg a Supreme Court justice when she had been chief counsel for the ACLU? She has poisoned the Supreme Court for the last 20 years. I know who they are. I know what they are, and I know what I would do if I were president. Believe me, I know what needs to be done. If I were to roll up my sleeves, I could clean this country up in 6 straight months, and I know just where to begin. They're the worst parasites the world has ever seen in this nation. The worst. I know what they're doing. They're trying to poison your child's mind into accepting a perversion that's beyond comprehension.
Exactly, and we are.
What do you want me to do? Go along with it? You want me to say it's okay? I'm okay, you're okay? You don't want to be judgmental about it? When are we going to stop putting up with this garbage? I want to know who is bullying who. Are the straights bullying the gays, or are the gays bullying the straights? Are the gays bullying Christians, or are the Christians bullying gays? Who is the real bully here? Answer. You can figure that out. Does anybody tell a gay how to live? No, they wouldn't dare. Then why do the gays think it's their right to tell everybody else what to think? Because they can. That's why. It was never about equality. It's that simple. So what's going on in your school district? How are you going to stop this poison from spreading?
Okay, well, we have actually, this last legislative session, we, as parents, got together and we had a bill to protect the children from co-ed bathrooms. It was called the Student Privacy Act. It was not passed. The ACLU and Planned Parenthood was going to the legislators. They were there every day of the whole legislative session, bullying them. What they're doing is they're going in and claiming that there will be lawsuits, and they did the same thing with the school district, and that they have people that will be...
All right, when the courts are this poison with left-wing vermin, the people can no longer use the courts. So where does that leave the people? What choice do you have now that you can't use the courts? Since the courts are stacked with vermin on the left, what can you do as a parent to protect your child from the sickness?
We're going into the school districts now. We're actually going to school districts. We're going to school board meetings. We're speaking up. They are there at the school board meetings, and we're countering what they're saying. And we're meeting, with school.
I hear in your voice how hard this is for you. You're a nice, ordinary woman with children, trying to raise them in a decent way, and these sick degenerates want to poison your child's mind, and you're sick of it. That's as clear as it's going to get. I can't say it any other way. These sick degenerates want to destroy your child's mind. I will not mince words. I don't care what it costs me anymore. May this be the last day of my broadcast, but I'm not going to lie. I'm sick of the sick perverts running and ruining America. Mm-hmm. I'm not going to say anymore. I'm in a cold sweat right now from it. I've worked myself up into a frenzy because I think if I'm at a breaking point, can I imagine what you're at? Can you imagine what the people are at? Here, let me show you what just happened in England. Here's another example of bullying. You're not going to believe this story. Legendary rabbi of England calls for Jewish surrender in Europe. England's former chief rabbi, Lord Jonathan Sacks, gave a speech described by the media in Herzliya, Israel. And he believed that the boycott and divest movement against Israel had succeeded in making the state of Israel a divisive factor in Jewish life. And the rabbi claimed, as a result, to support Israel was almost impossible for European Jews. He gave up, in other words. He gave in to the Muslim fanatics. And now the Jews in Europe are saying we can no longer support Israel. Now, if this was just a little weakling rabbi in Queens, New York, it would have no meaning. This is an astonishing speech because it came from the former chief rabbi of England, who has said he can no longer support the Jewish state because he has been intimidated by the Muslim fanatics who have penetrated and poisoned England and turned it into a satellite of Pakistan. I'll be right back.
Join the Savage Nation. Call now, 855-400-SAVAGE, 855